Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with a complete collection and a channel update. In this video, I will be showing my complete Graveyard Shift collection. And no, I'm not talking about Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. The Graveyard Shift to which I am referring was released in 1987, and its sequel, the understudy Graveyard Shift 2, was released the following year, in 1988. Now, you may be wondering why I'm showing my Graveyard Shift collection. Sort of odd, right? Well, there is a good reason, which I will explain after I show all of the editions I own. Starting with the VHS, first up is the original Virgin Vision release of Graveyard Shift. Next up is the original Virgin Vision release of the understudy Graveyard Shift 2. Then we have the Video Treasures release of Graveyard Shift. And the Video Treasures release of the understudy Graveyard Shift 2. I also have the Virgin Vision screening copy of Graveyard Shift. And the screening copy of the understudy Graveyard Shift 2. Here is a 2-pack including both films, Graveyard Shift, the understudy Graveyard Shift 2. This was released by Video Treasures and Anchor Bay. And here's the Shriek Show DVD release of Graveyard Shift under the title Central Park Drifter, which is pretty funny since the movie was actually filmed in Canada, and there is no mention of Central Park or New York anywhere in the film. And finally, here is a brand new, still sealed Laserdisc copy of the understudy Graveyard Shift 2. This is very cool. This was released by Image. As you can see, it's a giant Laserdisc. I still do not have a Laserdisc player, so I have no reason to open this. Not that I would anyway. It's pretty cool having it in the plastic. It even still has its original price sticker there for $39.95. So whoever purchased this originally paid about $40 for it. Pretty crazy. The great thing about Laserdiscs is just, the size. That giant artwork looks really good, looks really nice displayed on the shelf. I'm really happy to have this. So you're asking, why Graveyard Shift, right? Sort of an odd title to collect. In a decade containing some of the greatest horror films ever produced, Graveyard Shift doesn't really stand out, does it? And its sequel is even more obscure. But for me, that's sort of the point. First and foremost, these two VHS tapes have two of the most memorable covers for me. It might sound strange, but when I think of going to the video store when I was younger, these are the first two covers that come to mind. They were just so intriguing to me. This image of a vampire over a city and this woman, and the two different color schemes. The fact that it's the exact same cover, just reversed with different color. I remember just staring at these boxes all the time, every time I went to the video store. I would take both of them off of the shelf, look at the images on the back, just admire them. I still remember exactly where they were displayed in the small mom-and-pop video store that I frequented. When I got older and I first decided to start collecting VHS tapes again, these were two of the first tapes I purchased. Now, don't get me wrong, they are not fantastic films, but they're a lot of fun. And they are definitely creatures of their time, or should I say, features of their time. They are so 80s. From the style to the music, they just have that cheesy 80s vibe. And as you guys know, I absolutely love that. The Graveyard Shift movies are almost the perfect examples of what I love about horror. I mean, they take place in the 80s with great 80s soundtracks, there's cheesy acting, great sets and locations. They're fun, mindless entertainment with gratuitous nudity, especially in the first film. And the first Graveyard Shift, even though it's mainly a vampire film, is also sort of like a slasher. But best of all, despite having pretty recognizable cover art, both of these films are very obscure. And above all else, I love obscure horror. Now, you'll notice that the first Graveyard Shift does in fact have a DVD release that I showed here, under the title Central Park Drifter. There was also another DVD release of this film under the title Graveyard Shift, with very different cover art. But the farthest the sequel made it is to Laserdisc. There is no DVD release of the understudy, Graveyard Shift 2, which gives it just a slight edge over the first film for me. And so, after much deliberation, I now consider the understudy, Graveyard Shift 2, to be the almost perfect representation of the Horrorman's channel. Which is why I will be revamping my channel. I will have new channel art, a new intro, and a new channel icon. When I first started my YouTube channel 8 years ago, I began with the image from Phantasm 2 that you see in all of my intros. And then I transitioned to the Bloody Ash icon, which I've used for the majority of the time I've been on YouTube. Now, Ash is still my favorite, and The Evil Dead is still my all-time favorite horror film, and I don't think that will ever change. But sometimes change is good. So I will be finally changing my channel icon to an image of Bizet from the understudy Graveyard Shift 2. I know, all this talking just leading up to me informing you guys that I will be updating my channel. Well, what can I say? I love talking to you guys, I love filming, and I hope you enjoy listening to me and watching my videos. There's always a method to my madness, and this video was a good example of me explaining the method to this madness. But I've rambled on long enough. Next time you visit my channel, I'll be the same old horror man with a new look. What do you think? Comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching.